What's up, guys? It's me, Mopar Matt, coming to you from the recording room. Um, just doing a special video for in response to a request from Mickey Griggs to demonstrate how I built my display rack. First you'll need two hooks, something like this style. And I'm sorry for the old hardware I'm using, but it's all I have to demonstrate with for now. Let me straighten this out for a second. Now, what you want to do is you want to take, as far as how to mount the eyelets to the wall, you want to take the hook, and forgive any wrong movements here. This is a very odd angle to be recording from. Then, with a pair of pliers, I'm using a regular Leatherman here, you want to take the Leatherman, or the pliers, and leverage the tip of the hook so it's nice and straight. So this way, when you have your eyelet, and you're let's say that this is your simulated wall, your eyelet will just literally slip on to the hook and hang straight down like so. Just like that. And that's how the rack comes out. Now, as far as choosing your positioning for where to place the eyelet, in my particular case, I had two 36-inch long pieces of pine, 1 by 2 inch wood, 1 inch by 2 inch, and what I did was, being I knew I wanted my anchor points exactly 30 inches apart, is I took my little ruler and I marked, let me see if I can zoom in a little bit here for you, and I marked at the 6-inch point with a pencil, very lightly, 2 times like so. I then drew a straight line across those 2 marks lightly, and then, being I know 1-inch wood, and I'm sorry for the camera, I don't know what's going on here. Oh, come on, camera, zoom. There we go. And since I know 1-inch wood is actually 3/4 of an inch in width, I took the ruler, and I hope this doesn't mess up the zoom again, and I marked exactly at 3/8 of an inch, like so. What I then did is I took, where's the mark? There's the mark. I took the piece of wood and with a whole lot of leverage and a little bit of help from my Leatherman, yet again, just like you can see, and I'm sorry this is not the best quality video camera, but I cannot use my cell phone camera for this. Now, it's one key thing that I had to do was make sure it's fully good and seated in there, and then make it flat positioned like so. And then, in the interest of saving recording time, I won't do a couple of steps, but what I did have to do was I did take the eyelet back out, erase all the pencil marks, and then that's how you get the eyelet into the dead center point on the top of your wood, just like that. Now, as far as, let me open the package here. Excuse me. Ooh. These very little guys, I mean, trust me when I say, they're very small. And will the camera decide to focus? There it is, right there. As far as these little guys are concerned, I measured one of the Hot Wheels cards that I knew I wanted to hang. And knowing I had 36 inches of length to use, and yeah, I'm not even going to say how bad that just sounded. After doing some math, I discovered that with the card being 4 1/4 inches wide, I could fit 8 of the cards in 34 inches. So, let me see if I can get this without the piece of wood falling over. And it's going to fall. Oh well. Let me just do a quick demo here. I measured on 1 inch there. Another small tick mark at 1 inch. And then, now this might not be perfect, but I can always redo it later. Since this is just demonstration purposes. So I have a 1 inch gap on one end. I then took the board, the wood board, and knowing I had a measurement of 4 1/4 inches, I then made another mark, as you can see, at 2 1/8 inches. Little tick mark there. Line up the ruler again. Once again, as you can see, 2 1/8 inches. Little tick mark there. This was to determine how high I wanted the little hook to be. So once again, pressing lightly, I made a second line on the wood as the center line of the hook on the Hot Wheels card. Let's see. Then, once I had that mark made, I literally duplicated it 2 1/8 inches all the way down the board. And then I determined that I wanted to show most of the pine board through the loops. So I determined I wanted the mark I wanted the little gold hook thing pretty high up on the board. And what I then had to do was literally, like I did with the eyelet, just give it a little pressure to get it started. Screw it in, until it was perfectly straight up and down. Now mind you, the board is not perfectly straight right now in my hands, but there we go. Now it's perfectly straight to the camera. Just like that. Let's see if I can get that any closer. Voila! And that's how you put the hooks in. It's a very simple process. Now comes the part that takes, bar none, the longest amount of time. Looping, tying, hand knotting all the loops. You take the rope, put a good size loop in it like so. I'll move slowly so it can almost stay in focus. Build the loop. And if it wants to cooperate with you, start to pull the loop through, making sure to keep the knot end, as you see here between my fingers, in pretty much the same position while you pull the rest of the loop through it. And come on, focus. I hate this camera. Voila, there you have the end loop. And here's where things tend to get a little tricky. I learned something out quite literally by a decent amount of experimentation. After fiddling around for almost 20 minutes trying to find the perfect length to make between the knots, I found that 4 5/8 inches works really, really good between the knots. So I laid the string out against the ruler like this, which of course I'm zoomed in on so you can actually see it really good and close. Then what I did was, where you see that 4 5/8 inch mark right there, I tapped the rope very gently using a ultra fine tip Sharpie. Then move the ruler, go back to wide angle lens. Then what I did was, holding that black mark in the rope, which you can see right there, at the edge of my thumb, I pulled a good size loop of rope through by pulling the bottom strand or the top strand, whichever way it ends up when you attempt this. And just like tying the first loop, I made a loop at the beginning of the knot, pulled the top of the loop through, and then I pulled it down just enough to where that black mark is showing. Just showing. Right beneath where that knot is. And I then, once again, keeping the knot section the best I could centered on the point I was looking for, I made the loop. And as you can see here, it's about 1/4 of an inch off, but I wasn't looking for perfection, you know. And one key thing I did discover the hard way is you have to make sure the loop is big enough to fit the hook on a card. A couple of the loops I made on my rack are not big enough, and the cards are literally hanging on the knot itself, so I'm going to be fixing that little error. But for a first try, I wasn't going to complain. But then, once you have that loop made, let me telephoto back in. I lay the knot, the previous knot I made, at the 0 mark of the ruler. Pull the string tight. Come on. Hold on. Okay, now that I have the Sharpie open, which you don't want to, you shouldn't try to keep the Sharpie open for too long, or else it can dry out. That's why I tried to close it between each and every loop. But I once again, at the 4 5/8 inch mark, tap on the rope, close the Sharpie, and repeat the entire process again. Once again, I don't know if I will be able to get this or not, but there you just see the black mark starting to show through. Hold my thumb, squeeze the knot down with my pointer and middle finger, and pull the loop out. And once again, this one is big enough to easily fit a card hook. And also, once again, the black mark is a little less, come on, focus. Focus. I hate this camera. As you can see there, the black mark is about 1/8 of an inch off from the knot. But that's still very good and close enough. And then, I just did 3 knots here, 3 loops. In total, for each tier, if you will, of my display, I had to do 11 total knots. And then, once you're done making all the appropriate number of knots, it's literally, let me see if I can get this just right. It's literally just hook it on, let the rope hang. And then what you do is you hang the bottommost car first. So for example, like in my Zamac tier, I hung the Firebird on the bottom first, and I worked my way up. Or else you'll be trying to reach through the back of a card to look for a loop you can't see, and try to hook it that way, and you could potentially damage the cards. And then once you're done, except for the top loop here, all these other loops, this second and third one, they'll be hidden behind the cards. So, and the best part is, once you get the second loop with a car on it, all you gotta do is spread the top loop a little bit, hook the topmost car into it, and that's it. I mean, like I said before, the part that took me the longest to do was sitting there hand tying 88 individual loop knots. So I'm sorry about the poor quality of the camera I'm forced to use I had to use to record this, but I'm going to try to wrap this up because it's hitting 20 minutes, and I didn't think it would take that long. But yeah, that is how I built my rack. Of course, I Needless to say, I screwed this into the wall before I went to hang it. But yeah, that is it. So, Mickey, everyone else who watches this video, I hope you find it informational. And now that I've started my second one, I hope to be able to hang that one too. But this is me, Mopar Matt, signing out from my little recording studio. Sorry for the dim lighting, sorry for the garbage quality of the camera and the constant lack of focus. But yeah, that's it. Peace!